Hey kids, Lisa here with what I think will be a relatively quick unboxing video of my new fountain tarot, which looks just like my old fountain tarot, although this is the Roost Books edition of this deck. So this is the mass-produced version of this deck, and yeah, I think they did a really good job, but we'll see when we dive in. So yeah, so let's do that. Let's dive in, and as we do so, just kind of appreciating this beautiful aqua aura that was given to me by someone that I was trading with, and this is one of the oldest crystals I have. I mean, not in terms of the actual age of the crystal, although that might be true too, but look at that. But it was one of the first crystals I've ever acquired. So, and these are my babies that hang out with my fountain tarot. So, yeah, you know, my 78 days hashtag ended with the King of Swords, and it ended with the King of Swords in the fountain tarot. And that reminded me of how much I appreciate this deck. It also made me want to, I've been planning to buy the mass-produced version of it. Just taking a moment here to look at the difference in the back. Obviously, there's a barcode and this copyright telling us that this is printed in China. You're able to, one can get the deck for less than $40 or 54 Canadian. This new statement on the back, writing on the sides. The ends look the same. The slightly different, I mean, very, very subtly different. It's almost imperceptible. The coloring is slightly lighter in the new one. The embossed fountain, it's still embossed on the Roost Books version, but it's not quite as, I don't know, this one is a little bit more blocky. But otherwise, I mean, this, you know, in terms of packaging, these decks are almost identical, and they are exactly the same height, which suggests to me that the cards are going to be really similar in, there we go, in thickness. And that is, in fact, what I've read online. But oddly enough, I haven't seen anyone do a straight-up comparison video between these two decks. And I'm sort of surprised by that, given how incredibly popular this deck is and has been. So first of all, we have a magnetic closure, just like the original. So this is the original. You are the voice and the breath of universes, with this kind of raised platform. And then you are the voice and the breath of universes, again, a kind of raised platform. It's really, really hard to tell. There is no appreciable difference in these boxes. Now, here's the book. I understand that there's some difference in the text. They did some revision of the text. But in terms of the quality of the book as a object, the size of the book, the feel of the book, the paper stock, I mean, this is it's kind of extraordinary. So I'm going to have to spend some time with these two books to see if there's any difference. But just noticing, you know, there's the Roost Books imprint, Boulder, Colorado. So Roost Books is a Colorado publishing house. I don't know anything much about them. I do know that Jonathan Sayes and Jason Gruhl and Andi Todaro, I think they're all in Colorado. So the book is 104 pages in the new edition. It's 109 pages in the old edition. I don't know what's been cut. So I'll have to spend some time, because I won't do that here comparing, but maybe I'll do a follow-up video. Okay, so now the moment of truth with the cards. I'm sorry that this keeps being out of screen. I'm trying to figure out, we hope the Fountain Tarot brings you joy, clarity, and inspiration. I'm trying to figure out how to do sorry, I keep starting to talk and then getting distracted by the deck. I'm trying to figure out how to do good close-up videos with my iPad, and I'm not sure that I've figured that out yet. So anyway, just wanted to get this to focus well. Okay, so I am going to pause now. I'm going to open this, and then I think my other deck, my old deck, is not in order, so I'm going to pause and then put the other deck in order and then come back and flip through. I've rearranged my original deck and put it in order, in the same order as the new deck. And you can't tell from this angle, but basically these two stacks are about the same height, which suggests that overall these cards are the same thickness. But I can already tell that these are not identical cardstock. One of the things that you noticed that one notices right away is the silver is a bit more glittery. You can even see it comes off. Well, you can see I have it a little bit on my fingers, maybe, as I move my hand, so it sort of comes off. It's not the same, it's not as high quality of a silver edging. The other thing, it seems to me, yeah, the corners are rounder on the new one. Look, there's a little nick on my, oh, yeah, okay. Well, nothing is perfect forever. Anyway, so my old deck, there's a little nick on the fountain card, on the title card. But you can see that the corners aren't quite as small in their rounding, which, you know, is a very subtle point, but it's tiny differences like that that make the original so special. And then, although it seems like these are the same width, this cardstock, the new cardstock, is definitely bendier. So I don't know why that is. It seems they are identical in thickness, or very close, but the quality of the older deck, the original, the first edition, is superior if you like this really stiff cardstock. Now, in some ways, I can picture that this will actually shuffle much better. In terms of the feel and the color, they are pretty close. The new deck might be slightly lighter. I don't have great light here, but the color is really similar, and the matte feel is, I can't tell the difference. Okay. So that's probably like the most important distinction that I can talk about, this sort of the cardstock, because I think what we're going to find is that in terms of the actual print quality and coloring and clarity, these decks are pretty much identical. But again, you can sort of tell a little bit. The new one is slightly yellower in tone. Very subtle. Very, very subtle. And, you know, it's the sort of difference that could even be, you know, even from one version of the original first edition to the new, it could be that level of difference. But here you can see there's sort of a greater saturation. And what I've read online is that the only thing that's really changed, there are no new cards. The only thing that's really changed, Yeah, you can see this. Seems like the images are a little more saturated. But what I've read online is that the only thing that's really changed is there's a few descriptions in the book that have been rewritten. Man, this is a glorious deck. You know, I can't believe that my first impulse with this deck was that it was aloof. You know, I just couldn't warm up to it. And now I'm just, oh man, it's glorious. I actually feel, I mean, I'm someone who likes to do a good riffle shuffle. And I'm actually thinking, yeah, look at that. It's easier to read these images in the new one. I'm thinking that the second edition, the Roost edition, is going to be easier to work with, because I find it really hard to shuffle these cards. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I mean, again, well, maybe it's. I was going to say the colors are more saturated in the Roost edition, but it's pretty damn subtle. So here's my King of Swords, that the card that I culminated hashtag 78 days with, thinking about our abilities through our minds to make sense of our world and to even make sense of our own ability to make sense. I love the way in which this deck plays with light, with the translucence of the image, you know, the quality of refraction and reflection, so that the whole deck feels so damn swordsy. As someone who is herself a little bit of that so damn swordsy quality, it is a deck that I can now really appreciate. It makes me wonder if one of the reasons that I was a little put off by this deck when I first got it was because it was too much like me. I don't know. You know, these decks that kind of are close to us. It's the same feeling I had about the Aquarian Tarot, which is, you know, I don't really want to, I love this card. I don't really want to think about that deck as, you know, my soul deck, but because it's kind of, you know, so static and airy and swordsy. It's a beautiful 5 of coins. But in some ways, you know, the Aquarian Tarot is me. You know, even in the coins, it's just not this deck a little bit resists a kind of heaviness and weightiness, a kind of earthiness. It just resists being earthy. It keeps wanting to be a deck that is, whoops, what happened there? No, I see. Where's my page? Where's my page of coins? Oh, there's my page. You know, it's a deck that really wants to be at the speed of light. A deck that is designed for the ether, for the fiber optic age, the age where communication is truly ethereal in the sense of the ether, in the sense of the cloud, the world of cybernetics. And, you know, as someone who struggles with her own sense of embodiment, just being a very wandsy, you know, I'm all fire and air. Well, I've got my cupsiness too. But, you know, earth, that's where I'm out of balance. So this is not a deck that will balance me, but it's a deck that will help me channel who I am. And maybe that's a kind of balance. Anyway, I'm just rambling here. Oh, so actually I should probably bring attention to, if I can get the camera to focus. So the copyright is interestingly the same on this Roost edition. It's still the copyright of 2014. Has this been out of, am I just continually out of focus with these cards? Come on. Come on. There we go. Sorry about that. Let's go back to Temperance. Let's take it back. Okay. Anyway, I'm rambling. And I'm showing cards that are basically identical. This is like probably the dullest comparison video ever, but you know, a flip through of the fountain, it's like flipping through the fountain in stereo. There you go. So at any rate, what do I want to say? I want to say bravo to you know, the Fountain Tarot team. Bravo to Roost Books. They have made a mass-produced deck that really comes damn close to the qualities and the lusciousness of the original. Very, very few differences. And in some ways, this mass-produced version of the deck has some advantages. I'll just do a little shuffle. It's still kind of a mouthful, as it were, but you can shuffle it, right? As opposed to, you know, the original, where the cards really don't want to be shuffled, right? But there you go. Fountain Tarot 1 and 2. And beautiful job. It's like the, you know, it's like the Wild Unknown mass-produced Harper Elixir deck. You know, we're entering a world where publishers and artists are insisting on a higher quality for their productions. And you know, both Kim Kranz and Harper Elixir, and now Roost Books, and you know, Jonathan, Jason, and Andi, they have demonstrated that like you can create a deck that is reasonably priced, that is not too expensive, and that is just beautiful. So, all right, all. Thanks for watching, and yeah, you can see the glitter. Thanks for watching, and glitter on. Lots of love to you.